They came from drastically different backgrounds. My brother and I went to military schools and things like that. I followed him in military school, which was not good. Because what's that thing, being punished for your father's sins? Definitely got punished for my brother's sins. They said, wait, was your brother Sylvester? I go, yes. Okay, you're going to have a good 2 years there. I said, oh boy. I think that kind of upbringing made my brother and I be a little bit more into fantasy, because reality at that time was not always cracked up to be. He was very thin when we grew up, and he did have a slight paralysis of the mouth. So the mouth kind of was a little crooked. He got picked on, and the name Sylvester did not help.
Modelo de vida.
It was just the emergence of comics. And you had the Flash, you had this, you had the Marvel comics and DC comics, and I was taken by that until I saw Hercules and went, oh, there's a role model. There is something that I want to try to aspire towards. And I was thin. I had no body to speak of whatsoever. You know, it was like I wear a life jacket in the shower. I was thin. I got so carried away with it. I mean, I'd actually get physically hurt trying to portray, you know, Superman on TV. I mean, you know, well, if he could jump off a building, I can at least jump off the porch. You know, of course, I'm using a barber's cape and a pair of Speedos. I mean, he broke every bone in his body. So he took it out into things, started lifting weights, started physical. Let's get to physical. We had weights coming out our ears. Even though I never reached the heights even close to Steve Reeves, I said, that's it. I'm going to follow that path. I made friends with him, and he did set a goal for me that I'm still trying to arrive at. My mother used to have a TV show where she lifted weights in the 50s on TV called Barbellas. So we had tons of weights in the basement. And in those days, it wasn't like hire a trainer. You just come over with your friends and look at the magazine. Oh, it looks good. Sit there and lift weights. And he was very determined, disciplined, did that.
He's had it hard. He didn't grow up wealthy. He didn't have like the perfect parents, you know? He didn't have someone mentoring him, telling him where to go to school and what to do. You know, he had to figure it out on his own. And I think when you do that, you get the real answers.
So when we found that he couldn't fly, I think acting started taking over.
Tentando a sorte.
He was told that he couldn't do things. Your mouth's crooked, you slur, you're too muscular, you don't have the look, I don't know. So when you have people telling you that you can't do things like that, that's what Rocky was about. And all Rocky wanted was a chance. That's all anybody wants. Just give me a chance to fail. We both lived in the same apartment. It was like hot and cold running roaches. It was rough. It was $71 a month, to give you an idea. And it was right over a subway stop. And I guess 80 years of rumbling, everything was crooked. I was dealing with poverty like a genius. I had it down. If anyone's gonna be broke, I nailed it. I knew how to stay down. He slept on the bed, I slept on the floor. Next night I slept on the bed, he slept on the floor. It was one room, didn't have a bathroom. Bathroom was in the hallway. We used to put our food out on the windowsill. That's how we kept it cold. There was no refrigerator. And I remember we used to walk down the street in New York City, God is my witness, and wearing sweatpants. Nobody did that. Nobody wore sweatpants on the street. With sneakers, Converse. They didn't have like Adidas in those days. And we had these t-shirts. I'll never forget them. We used to get them, they're called beefy tees, but they're real tight. And we'd get them like a size small, so we'd wear them, we'd look like. So girls, we'd walk down the street of Manhattan, and people would stop and turn around and look at us and go, wow, look at those two guys. And we weren't huge, but we thought we were huge. But for that time, we were big, you know, big arms sitting there, like real long hair. And sometimes we would just do it. We weren't even coming from the gym, making it look like we were coming from the gym. So people, you know, we had no money, so that was how we got attention. I mean, it was funny. You just walk around, and those are like the really formative years where you sort of build a kind of philosophy. And this limo pulled up outside, and George Harrison walked out. And of course, my brother, hey, George, how are you? I go, shut up. George, how you doing? Walk back in, you know. But it was just funny that he was that way. And he said, one day, man, I'm going to run this city. Well, the career pre-Rocky was pretty rocky. Things were not looking good because I wasn't a certain type. Wasn't born with super looks, a super body, or super anything. Everything had to be acquired through effort. You know, he was a different guy than actors. You know, he kind of slurred a little bit, he was a little muscular, things like that. And that's not what they were looking for at that point, okay? They wanted more the Robert Redford kind of, you know, sensitive. You know, he had done Lords of Flatbush, he had done Capone. But what were those movies? Scale Plus 10 in those days, which was like 5 cents.
The first 3 or 4 parts I ever got, I was always the villain. I went, but I don't feel that way.
You saw me. Don't tell me you didn't see me. My wallet. Hey, somebody stop him! He took my wallet!
And the way I'd look in the mirror and see myself is not the way the world saw me. I'd look in there and see this, oh, charming, nice guy, you know, an unintimidating person. And then the world would see me as a mugger, you know, as a heavy, as a guy that would end up chasing people. You know, primary impression is what we're taking with originally. Like, God, he looks scary, therefore he is scary forever in our minds, until you can be proven otherwise.